Hi, Laura Foote from YIMBY Action. I don't know how many of you have watched what has been happening in Minneapolis, but they got rid of single-family home-only zoning, and they have made a plan to move to triplexes everywhere across their city. And it's a huge step. I'm going to be emailing you an amazing Slate article, but I just wanted to read to you some of the highlights. Minneapolis will become the first major U.S. city to end single-family home zoning, a policy that has done as much as any to entrench segregation, high housing costs, and sprawl as the American urban paradigm over the past century. Large swaths of our city are exclusively zoned for single-family homes, so unless you have the ability to build a very large home on a very large lot, you can't live in the neighborhood. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey told me this week. Single-family home zoning was devised as a legal way to keep Black Americans and other minorities from moving into certain neighborhoods, and it still functions as an effective barrier today. Abolishing restrictive zoning, the mayor said, was part of a general consensus that the city ought to begin to mend the damage wrought in pursuit of segregation. Human diversity, which nearly everyone in this staunchly liberal city would say is a good thing, only goes as far as the housing stock. I'm going to read that last one again. Human diversity, which nearly everyone in this staunchly liberal city would say is a good thing, only goes as far as the housing stock. A lot of legislation comes out of this body. And I'm also speaking to all the nerds watching SFGov TV, hopefully planning staff. This was led by a planning process that originated in their planning department. There was a lot of outreach in the community that said we're going to have a larger conversation. We're not going to do as much project by project, just whatever's coming at our face right now. We're going to do something big. We are capable of large and dramatic change to get us on a better course. And we too are capable of large and dramatic change to get us on a better course. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional public comment? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Commissioner Richards?
Just one thought. I understand possibly where the single-family zoning has kept people out of neighborhoods. However, when we had the Excelsior action plan last week, and I look at the statistics around who owns single-family homes in the city, their neighborhoods that were previously, I guess, excluded, like Irish and things, and like in the Sunset. When you look at the actual ownership now, it's majority non-white. So I'm just having, whatever the origins of single-family zoning are, at least in San Francisco, other than, say, Pacific Heights or a few other neighborhoods that are exclusively white, there's majority-minority ownership in a lot of neighborhoods. So the other thing is, the other comment is, I mentioned this last week, triplexes are a far cry from 6 lots being combined together, which we're trying to do here with SB 50, and creating a Castro Theater in a neighborhood of little bungalows.
Commissioner Moore.
I'm interested in Ms. Clark's comments. The only question I would ask you, if you present the facts later, to check the size of the city, its amount of land, including the average lot size on which the single-family homes occur. In many cities, lot sizes are far, far larger than in San Francisco, given topography and history. So in those cities, you will probably have an average lot size of 3/4 to an acre, where densification indeed is a slightly different challenge or a different solution than here. I'm just asking that question because you could definitely underpin your arguments very effectively. I don't need an answer. I'm just asking you to have that next time available in order to make sense, given the lot constraints, et cetera, we have here. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. And I think as part of when we have the housing discussion, it'd be good to hear what other cities are doing and maybe what distinguishes us from other cities. Because, I think there's good points about the Excelsior, but there's also neighborhoods that have historically been much more dense than RH1 that are currently RH1. And there are some, like you mentioned, Commissioner Moore, where the lot sizes aren't 25 by 100, but they are RH1. So I think it's a good debate, and we should have it and talk about it. Commissioner Fong?
Yeah, just real quick. I think it's interesting that Ms. Foote brought this up. And just going on the website here and looking at where houses, the average size and cost, there's a 1,400 square foot home for $139,000, but it's sitting on a very large lot, as Commissioner Moore points out, with a front yard and a side yard, and another side yard and a backyard. So there may be reasons why that sprawl for those sides. I think we're all clear that Minneapolis, while I'm sure it's great, having been there, is not an apples to apples for San Francisco. But I do appreciate you bringing this idea up, and I think your main underlying point is something larger can happen and something broader in thought, sweeping can happen. So I agree with that direction.
Commissioners, I'm going to request
We're
that
having a
you resist
discussion.
having